Hello! This is a surprise stream tonight. So what are we going to do tonight? I know what we're going to do tonight. First off, we're going to actually put these minis aside. We're going to work on some we're going to look at some character books. Character books. Now you might be asking, "Hey John, what's a character book?" This, my friend, is a character book. That's the paladin one. And that's the warlock. There's the ranger. So I made these for my players in my home game. And actually, let me change my stream information. Where's my stream manager? There is my stream manager. Do 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 do. Character book work. No. Making character books. So you may be asking, "Hey John, what's a character book?" Well, I'll tell you what a character book is. Character book is a character sheet in book form. This is similar to what you might find at like the Rook and the Raven. These are disc-bound journals. The sheets are a remix of Julian's character sheets. I don't remember. I bought them a long while ago. Let me see if I can find the URL so I can give a shout out. "5e Julian character sheets." See if I can. I do not see them. If they come up again, maybe I can plug them. You know what? Let me see. I bet I have them on a thing. Yeah. Let's see here. Character sheets. Julien. Games and Stuff by Julian.com. And Julian is spelled Julien. Games and Stuff by Julian.com. And so I took these character sheets and was intending to, like, because they're 8.5 by 11, printing them up just full out. And but then I fell in love with the idea of disc-bound journals. So I'm using a collection of different things. I used the Happy Planner punch. And this is just like a hole punch. But it cuts out this little mushroom shape. And you just line them up in there. Ka-chunk. And that's all there is to it. And the sheets look like this when you ka-chunk them. Yep. And then these discs, like the mushroom just slips around there like that. And the nice thing about them is you can move them around. So it's like if you have like a map drawn back here and you need it further up, you just pull the sheet out, drop it in there. If you want another character, you can pull these character sheets out, plop a new one in, and it's in your character book. Or you can, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take this one, move it to the back of the book, and then have the character that I'm using up here. It is a little weird to turn the pages. They can get bound up. So sometimes you kind of have to pull up. Let me see if I can. You kind of have to pull them up and right around the circle. These ones are a little big. The ones that I use, let's see if I have one here. I bought these ones on eBay. These are ones that I 3D printed that work okay, but these ones are about the size that I use, and you don't have to pull them so far. You can kind of see the size comparison. So the way these work is I have the front page has your race, background, and any features that you get from those. Place to put your character name, and if you want to print out your character or draw a thing on there, then a little place to scribble your backstory. The other side of that gives you your ability scores, your skills, proficiencies, saves, some place for attacks, debuffs, traits, bonds, ideals and flaws, hit points, and all that stuff. And then on the next page, this is where your class stuff is. So if you have spell casting, like this ranger has spell casting, place where you can put your spells and their level, keep track of your spell slots, class features, subclass features. And then this is a little thing that I found online and tinkered around with and modified slightly for like a custom inventory system. But that's not what we're going to be doing tonight. Like, this is what it is. What we're going to do is make a nice cover for this. And it's going to look This is the one that I use. This has all my DM notes in it. Has some characters in the back that I've played. Some extra character sheets. There's my bard. Thalius Cosmos. But I have this nice leather bound. And this here is just manila. That's a manila envelope, which is what I made for here. But I found, since then, this is still kind of floppy. And I don't like how floppy it is. So what I've been doing instead is using chipboard. What is chipboard, you might ask? I'm glad you asked. This is chipboard. It's cardboard. Where do you get chipboard? This one I got from the back of a Wheaties box, and something with almonds in it. I've even used DiGiorno pizza boxes. It's just nice and thick. It's a little thicker than a manila envelope. Not as hard though, as like just cardboard. I wouldn't use something this big. Like, this is a Pop-Tart box, and this is like actually corrugated cardboard. It's a little bit too much. You do want some pliability in the material. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to pull this cover off. And let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to cut it. Just freehand it. I wish I had a paper cutter. It'd make it a whole lot easier if I did. But I don't. So this is what we're going to do. And if you do have one edge that's like square and straight, that'll save you some time. I'm gonna scooch this mic over a fuzz. There we go. There we go. we go. No, cut didn't go so well. There we go. So it's about the right size. There we go. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right, now we're going to punch it. And this thing will do like 4 pages easy. It'll do more if you force it a little bit, but I don't like to do that. All right, so let's make sure that these line up. That's a bit of a wobbly edge. All right, so we'll go like this. We'll put the wobbly edges on the outside. That way I can kind of clean it up a little bit. You want to make sure that you've got like a near factory edge, at least on one side. Because when you put it in the punch, it'll wobble, and you can end up with it like this. So let's drop it in here and line it up. If you're using the Happy Planner, there's actually a punch. There's a little T right there, and I line these up with the center of the T. Just whatever you need to do to get it in the exact center. Alright, there's that. Make sure that they're lined up in the right way. There you go. All right. There we go. Next thing, I need to spray this guy down. So we need some leather. Where's my leather? Here's my leather. Here's my leather. And these are just scraps I found or bought on a thing. Hey, ISO! Sorry, man, I didn't see you pop in. Yeah, these are fancy. You don't need to get fancy if you want to play D&D. Just use regular character book. I mean, character sheet, but character books are nice. Use that one. Ooh, I hope I have enough pieces that are big enough. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, I've only got small pieces. And I already told him I was gonna make him one. Oh no, now I feel bad. That is not gonna cut it. Drat. Let me see if I have some other ones over here. No, these are smaller too. Dang it. That is too bad. I'm gonna have to pick up some more. Essentially though, the workflow is super easy. You spray glue the pattern side. You lay it on top of the leather. So, for example, let me grab one of these beautiful pieces of leather that are entirely too small. You lay the leather down, spray this guy, set it down there, and this is just like Elmer's all-purpose. It's like essentially Elmer glue in a spray form. Shake it up, give it a nice saturated spray over it, press it down on top of there. And sometimes I'll put a book, something heavy, just to give it a nice, good weight. And then you'll have like leather all around the side. And then I just take my knife and just shoop, 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 cut her off, and it ends up having leather on the one side. And it looks like, well, I already showed you the book. It looks like this. And it's literally just glued together. It's not the best bond. See, like, this is starting to come apart a little bit. But this thing's like 3 years old. So it's like, it doesn't have to be magic. Like, it doesn't have to be super fantastic. My philosophy is if it's relatively cheap and it can take a beating, then you can just make another one. You know, you can just peel the paper off and spray glue another piece of paper on there and it's all good. That's disappointing. Oh, a bummer. I'm not gonna let it get me down though. So I have these. Well, I'll just hang on to them. And I'll probably go to Hobby Lobby around, I think I'll be there Wednesday. Maybe I can cut them out then. I don't have a Hobby Lobby in town, so it'll be a little bit before I can get out there. Well, that's a bummer. I'm not doing character books tonight. That's okay. Well, I guess what we'll do instead... Oop, did my light die? I think my battery went out. No? There it goes. let's go ahead and work on our bandits. So these are the ones that we were working on the other day. Actually turned out pretty good. So I'm going to put these guys off on the side. We're going to get these guys on here. I think I'm going to hang off on the orc. All right. So let's see. The last time we worked on these guys, we did the brown, the Cygor brown on their back, the snakebite leather, we did Gilliman flesh on the faces, and then we did white. Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan to paint these tomorrow, like I was scheduled to. But I'm going to go ahead and get these guys up to par, so maybe I can just finish all of them in one go. I think that'll make me happy. There we go. Alright, no cloak on these guys, so I guess we're just doing... There we go. Welcome, ANMCC. Welcome to the stream. We're painting bandits. We were going to make character books, but apparently I don't have the leather scraps big enough to do it. Let's see, what else did we do? We did the cape. I think we just did the cape. So this is just going to be their hood. There we go. Oh, I got a little bit of a zit on there. Oh Oh, no. I broke his feet. It was on there harder than I thought it was going to be. That's okay, though. It sounds a whole lot worse than it actually is. Breaking minis, cracking resin like this is a lot worse after it's painted than before it's painted, because you can just super glue the stuff and paint over it, and it's a-okay. It's really not as bad as it looks. Super glue works almost instantaneously on this kind of resin. So we're just gonna get it right there on the crevice. Zoop. See? Not a problem. It's not sticking. Maybe I need to shake up that stuff a little bit. Let's put a little accelerant on it. This stuff is crazy good. And you just put a little dab. And there should be enough super glue on the other side. And it'll immediately start catalyzing. Yeah. It's like, it's already solid. Look at that. It like crystallizes it almost instantly. So it's really not that big of a deal. You might get a little goopy bubble around the seam. But I can chisel that off. See? So there we go. We're back to painting. Just a couple of minutes. Not even a minute, just a couple of seconds. Maybe a minute. You should let it cure for just a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish painting his hood so that I don't get like lines on the paint. And then I'll let him sit for a little bit. Don't be afraid of messing up paint or messing up minis. If I was like buying these minis, I'd be like, oh no, my mini, I broke my mini. But when you 3D print them, you just crank out another one. There's I was taking some art lessons a while ago from a guy named Control Paint, I think was the name of his website. And one of the lessons that he was going through was he had us draw some sort of scenery. It was some project. It was like draw a fire hydrant or something like that. I forget what it was. But the lesson, and so we were like going through it, and he was like, okay, so we're at the end, so here's the lesson. And the lesson was, we were doing it digitally, was to throw away the image. He's like, don't save it. Just close the window. I'm going to ask you to save. Say no. Just destroy it. It's gone. And we spent like 30, 45 minutes working on it. And I was like, what? Okay. So we just made this thing and we threw it away. Trashed our file. And he said, and the lesson is when you are a creator, sometimes you can get into a place where you do some really great work, right? You like if you're drawing and you finally, get a good face or make like hands are notoriously hard to draw. You really draw some good hands, and you're like, man, I'm gonna save this one. This one is so good. But his lesson is that if you can draw it once, you can draw it again, and you need to have confidence in your skill. So if I can paint one of these minis, I can paint another one. If I paint one of these and it turns out great, I can paint another one. It's like I shouldn't be scared of messing up or accidentally breaking it or trashing it and, never having that mini again. That's fine. If I can paint one, I can paint another. Just takes time and effort. And so, man, I really goobered these guys up. They got supports all over their feet. Like all over the back of his leg. Good gravy. So yeah, if I mess up this mini or if I break that other mini, I'll just print another one and paint it. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a thing. Just happens. I've even had some minis break in the middle of a game. I always try to keep one of these little tiny tubes of super glue so that you can do some emergency repairs in game. It is a good lesson, yeah. And it didn't hurt necessarily me when I went through it, but it was like confusing. But for like an example, where is he? He might be out with my other minis. During my home game, we had a half-orc paladin named Fang, and probably one of the best minis at the time that I'd painted, and I really, really liked him. And I was like, this guy's great. The campaign kind of ended, and the player left the game, and Fang went on my shelf. And like even as like a memorandum, is that the right word? Memorial to him, I use his model. I renamed it Fang for scale, and I scale all of my other models against him. So like if I pull in another NPC model or another hero model, I always load the Fang model next to him to make sure that they're sized right. So anyway, Fang for scale. I really like Fang. But the player wanted him. He was like, I'm not going to be able to play, and it'd be really cool if I could, have Fang and keep him and put him on my, a shelf or something. And I was like, dude, I don't want to keep Fang away from you. I love him, but sure. So I gave him to him. And then later I was like, man, I miss having Fang sitting on my shelf. So I printed another one, and I painted him. And it was better than the first one, because I'd gained experience and, I'd been doing this longer and stuff like that. And so it's like, if I liked Fang, it was just another reiteration of that same lesson. If I liked Fang so much and wanted to keep him on my shelf and ended up giving him away and printing him and painting him again, it means I can do the same thing if I accidentally break it or, accidentally mess it up. And it ends up being better because the second time you make something is always better than the first. The first time you're figuring it out, trying to, do all your research at the same time as you're actually manufacturing. And then the second one, you've already got it figured out and you're kind of going through and you see all the stuff that you wish you'd have done different the first time and you get to do it different the second time. So breaking minis isn't that bad. Speaking of breaking minis, we actually had one that broke a couple games ago. Our druid, she had a little shepherd crook in the model, and it broke off. And so I tossed it in my bag along with the little crook piece, and now I can't find the crook piece. but that is on my list to fix. I might have to like carve a new one. Sometimes that's easier than tinkering with 3D stuff and like printing a very, very small piece like that. I'll just take like a toothpick and whittle it down with an X-Acto knife into a certain shape. It's really not that difficult, and super glue will like instantly bond it in place. There we go. Alright, so she's got like a cloak, but then she's got like a robe underneath. That's kind of neat. I'm going to need to do something about these patches. All the other ones have patches on them too. Oof. There we go. I like this little dwarf. He's got attitude. He's like, hey man, get off my case. What time is it? 10:40 p.m. That means we've almost got 12 hours until Nintendo's E3 presentation tomorrow. And I am excited. I was watching a little bit of some of the E3 stuff yesterday and today. Not too excited about anything that I've seen so far. Starfield looks, I don't know, I want it to be good, but it's just like a cinematic trailer, and that doesn't tell you anything about the game, like at all. But if it ends up being anything like what No Man's Sky should have been, or like halfway what Star Citizen is supposed to be, I would be interested in it. I was excited that they, when they announced the Mario plus Rabbids sequel, I actually enjoyed that game. Like, I don't really care for Wizard with a Gun. I saw that name when I was flipping through my YouTube subs, but I didn't like see what it was. I don't really know what it is. But yeah, I don't know anything about Wizard with a Gun. I'll have to look into it if you're excited about it. I'm curious to see what kind of game it is now. What was it talking about though? Oh, Mario plus Rabbids. Whatever the sequel name was. I really liked the first one. I wasn't too keen on like the Rabbids themselves. They're kind of childish, and you know, the humor is not really my thing. But man, the combat in that game Very clever. Very well done. I really like it. Very satisfying. I actually beat it. And being a nearly 40-year-old dude, beating games is a commodity anymore. I don't have time for most of that. Beating most of the games that I play. Alright. Leather. We're going to use snakebite leather. Let's see. Let's get you guys first. What do we got here? So on these guys we did shoulder pads, chest, van braces, knee pads, boots. So it looks like joints. Yeah. I'm not so I was surprised to hear that it was going to be a thing. Now that I know it's a thing, I'm not really surprised per se, because they were like very respectful of the Super Mario Brothers IP. I was reading an article about Davide, which looks like it's supposed to be spelled David, but he's like the designer or producer or whatever of the Rabbids games. And they the story is that they pitched it to Nintendo, and they were like, "Hey Nintendo, we'd really like to make this game." So they like whipped up a demo and pitched it to Nintendo. And I think this happened beforehand. It might have been like they got approval and then sent them a beta or something. But essentially Nintendo saw their thing, the game, and they were like, who authorized them to have access to our models? Because they're like, apparently sometimes they'll like license out their content, so like you could use Mario in a game, but it's like they're not giving you access to their assets, like the 3D models and stuff. And they were like, who licensed this out? And Ubisoft was like, no, we made these. And Nintendo was just like incredibly impressed at how faithful the design was to like their specifications of what Mario character models are supposed to be like they got like some design doc or something like that. And they were just really impressed at the amount of attention to detail and the care that they put into the Mushroom Kingdom characters. And I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, they're probably gonna do more business with Nintendo. Like if they impress Nintendo with the quality of their material, they're probably going to, like, that probably helped out a lot of their their relationship. Alright, so we have the leather on the front, like the chest piece here. I think this back is going to be part of the shirt. I don't think that's going to be leather. But it does look like we have like some kidney protecting plates. These look like something different that are wrapped up. So I'm going to put those in leather. Alright, and then let's get his knee pads. Do I need to zoom that in a little bit? Is that too far away? Can you see that okay, Ice? just do the whole thing. And then we'll come back with details on top for those straps. It's got a couple like leather straps around these boots. These things look like Mega Man feet. Like the big, huge, bulky boots. And then they're like held on with straps and buckles around the side. Oh, I was supposed to do his toes in the Cygor brown. What is that? It looks like I glued this thing, but it's still goopy. Huh. I wonder if that's like uncured super glue or something. There we go. I might need to let him dry a little bit or something. Yeah, my boys are, they've got some friends over tonight, and so they're like watching stuff online and playing games, so they're probably eating up a bunch of my bandwidth. You know, I could set my device as a priority device so that I get priority on the bandwidth. I'm going to do that real quick. Set priority device. There you go. 4 hours. Nice. See if that helps. Let me know if that helps, though. This thing's like a goopy mess. I don't know what's up with that. I'm gonna put him in front of the fan. It's weird. Alright, leather. Let's do this guy. And I hope I didn't mess up my brush. I think I got a bit of that goopy super glue on the front of it. so I think this is going to work out okay. Oh, dude, we got a raid. Geek Squad. Welcome, welcome, Legit RP. An old Sully send y'all my way. It's super duper nice. You had it hopping over there. So for you guys just joining, my name's John. I'm a dungeon master. I've been playing D&D for a very, very long time, and this is mostly painting D&D minis. These are the figurines that we use on the tabletop. And I'm currently working on a group of bandits. I'm not the best, so if this looks like something that you'd be interested in doing, know that you can do it without needing to be the best. But we're really chill, we're really relaxed over here. So being chill and relaxed and listening to some Eurotrack synth. And apparently I have a very soothing voice, is what folks say. I don't know. Everybody hates their own voice, so I'm not sure if I agree with that, but if you need to wind down at the end of the day, I'm happy to have you. Happy to talk about D&D and tabletop RPGs in general. If you're new to the craft, to the game, I can give the rundown. You can drop questions. I can drop some answers. D&D is one of those things that I could literally talk about all day and just not get bored of talking about it. If you're more interested in the painting, we can talk about that too, because man, do I love painting this kind of stuff. Have a good night, dude. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, so we got some leather on that guy. I need to remember to come back and do their boots. All right. This crazy dwarf. What kind of leather does he have on him? Because this is a different model. A different series, too. Oh, let's see here. He's got like an axe around his waist. Like a satchel over here. That looks like fur around the top of his boots. Let's do these straps around his boots in leather. Yeah. We'll do his little satchel too. And you know what? Let's go ahead and get that belt. even though you can barely see it under his big belly. Okay, I think that's probably good. He says after adding yet another detail. Oh no, I missed a little bit of his hood there too. That stuff's gonna bother me. I'm too afraid I'm gonna forget. So let's go ahead and patch that up. We're gonna use some Cygor Brown. This is another contrast paint. I'm still not sold on contrast paints. I mean, I already bought them. But, you know, they're supposed to be like time-saving paints. I don't know. I don't know if they saved me time yet. Look at his boots, too. There we go. Missed a little bit. Right there. Man, I really like that model. That's a cool model. Alright, let's get his feet. And if you notice, this one here that I'm painting is the one that I just broke the feet on. And it looks just fine. You can barely see it, especially now that it's painted over. Alright, this guy has boots. It's honestly not that much that I missed. I just feel bad swapping paints, because it's like I gotta rinse my brush off and I just feel like I'm wasting paint. She's got like these big boots. I feel like that needs something special. Let's get some leather on her. Oops, that's my leather. Alright, so leather on her. Maybe the patches on the back. But that's going to be too dark. Let's see. She's going to be a red-skinned tiefling. So definitely she's got a little bit of a pouch under here. can get that with some leather. And her boots and her vam braces match. So I don't know if I want to do her vam braces. We'll go ahead and get her belt. Then it looks like her dress splits here. And then it has the dress along the side. That's her leg right there. And then the dress continues down in front. So maybe I could go flesh tone there on the leg. That could be interesting. But then what for the dress? Or the robe or whatever she's wearing? She just doesn't have a lot of leather. Which is fine, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to force it. But I did miss some more Sagor brown on her. It's the darker spots and the shadows that I seem to be missing. At least on her and on that dwarf. It's like now that it's dried, I can see the spots that I missed. It's right... Oop. Look out, microphone. Right up under in there. And then right up over the shoulder. And you know what? I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to make her a red tiefling. Nobody picks red tieflings. Tieflings are supposed to be red or like flesh toned. But everybody makes them blue or purple. I don't know why. I did the same thing. And that's like one of the jokes. Actually, I made two tieflings and they were both... One was blue and one was purple. I don't know why it makes so much sense. Or why it like resonates with people. But it does. Alright, so let's get her dress on here. What's that gonna be? They're bandits, they're not rich, so it's not gonna be some fancy rich color. It's not gonna be like purple or blue. I feel like it needs to be something dark. She's gonna be red skinned, so I don't want it to be like green or it's just gonna look like a Christmas tree. Orange is gonna make it look like ketchup and mustard. Maybe a dark blue, if I do like a really, really dark blue, almost like denim. That could go good with the brown. Okay, let's try the blue. You know what? And if that's the case, maybe we could give the dwarf and the orc and her like special colors. No, we didn't do that with the ranger though. Or Mr. Daggers over here. Like these are another couple of the fighter guys. So it looks like I'm using white on those actually for like the linen. What if I did like a white dress on her and then put a wash on it? That could actually be kind of neat. Let me try it. It'll be a light enough color too that if I don't like it I can just paint over it. Ugh, my palette got gross. Alright, let's get some bone white in here. Hey, Jalapeno. And Mercy Chew, welcome. Welcome to the stream. We're painting D&D minis. I'm working on a group of bandits called the Gagamba Gang. I'm Ew, gross. Got a bunch of junk in there. I'm running a campaign called the Lost Mines of Phandelver. It's the starter set. It's like a $20 box that you can buy at like Target and other places. You can get it on Amazon too. And it gives you a nice little adventure that'll take your characters from level 1 to 5. It also gives you like a set of dice, some pre-generated character sheets, so your players can just like pick up a character and start running with it. And even comes with like a little mini rule book, so you don't have to buy the player's handbook, and it has like all of the monster stat blocks in it that you would need to run the adventure. It's just like a nice complete package. One might say a starter kit. Yeah, and so these in the town of Phandalin. Let me check the chat, make sure that I don't have any players in here right now. No players. Okay, so players, if you watch this on YouTube later, if I remember to eventually put this on YouTube, skip past this part because spoilers for the story. And also, if you plan on being or are a player in the Lost Mines of Phandelver, this is going to be spoilers for you too. But in the Lost Mines of Phandelver, the game, the main villain of the game, the adventure, is known as the Black Spider. He's a drow from the Underdark. And he's up to nefarious shenanigans. He's up to no good, and the players are eventually going to meet him and try to stop him. And along the way, they get wrangled up. Like at the beginning, they get wrangled into some struggle and conflict with a tribe of goblinoids, which include goblins and bugbears and hobgoblins, and they're known as the Kragmaws, and they're working for the Black Spider. And then after that, you end up going to the town of Phandalin, and the town of Phandalin is having some problems with some local ruffians. And these local ruffians are a separate group called the Red Brands, and it's like a B plot. They're up to no good. They're terrorizing the town, causing trouble, killing people who oppose them. They're really terrible folks. And then you're supposed to like beat them or drive them away, or however you want to handle the situation. Become the heroes of the town, and then they were kind of in cahoots with the Black Spider. They didn't work for him, but he hired them to do some stuff. Well, the version of the Lost Mines of Phandelver that I'm running is I'm altering it to kind of expedite it. This is supposed to be a introductory game of Dungeons and Dragons. The players in this game have never played before, except for one player said that he had played, and then I found out what that equated to was that he had acquired the book and a couple of friends, and they just tried to do it with the best of their knowledge. Like they didn't have any teaching or have anybody who had played before show them how. They were just kind of figuring it out, and he has since said what we were doing was nothing like this. So essentially all new players. And my magnet just came off. Holy cow, what is up with my luck tonight? Anyway, back to story time. We're playing Lost Mines of Phandelver. They get to they just messed with the goblinoids, and they're making their way back to Phandalin. And in an effort to expedite the game, they were supposed to just play the part with the goblins, and that was going to be like 2 or 3 sessions to see if they liked it. And if they liked Dungeons and Dragons, then they were going to be like, hey, we like Dungeons and Dragons, we might want to play some more, or get somebody else to run a game, because I'm already running like one other game. Well, they fell in love with it. I fell in love with them. They're great players, like even brand new. They are fantastic players, and I want to, I they're really into it, and I really want to foster them along into this hobby. And so I hold on a second, I'm trying to glue and talk at the same time. Put a blob of glue on there. And I'm doing that wrong. I need to get my metal sheet. Where was I? Okay, yeah, so we got to the end of the Cragmaws, and they were like, we really want to keep playing. And I was like, okay, well, I'll keep dungeon mastering. We'll go all the way through the game. And they were like, yay! And I was like, okay. And so now I'm trying to take them through the game, but I don't think that they realize, because I know I didn't communicate this to them, that Dungeons and Dragons, like a regular campaign, it can take you like a year to get through it. It's not uncommon, especially if they're just there to hang out and dilly-dally around and aren't really like focused on the story. Which they're new players, they dilly-dally around and they're not really focused on the story. So I'm kind of condensing parts of the adventure. So that was a long rabbit trail just to get to the Gagamba Gang. So essentially, I'm taking the red brands and I am merging them into the black, like affiliation with the Black Spider, so that their progress against the Gagamba Gang and their threat to Phandalin will help in their efforts to overcome the Black Spider. They'll give them breadcrumbs and story bits to get into back into the main story, rather than this being like a little side quest. Gagamba, I forget what it is. What language? Maybe Filipino. I just googled spider. Like I punched spider into Google Translate into a bunch of languages. One of them was Gagamba, Gagamba, and I was like, Gagamba Gang. That kind of rolls off the tongue. Yeah, two birds, one stone. Exactly. So they're going to fight the Gagamba Gang. They're going to find a connection to the Black Spider. And there's also, like in this adventure, there's supposed to be, like once you get to Phandalin, it's supposed to open up a little bit. And you can go to a place called Thunder Tree. And there's another place called Old Owl Well, which is like an old wizard tower that has since crumbled, and it looks like a well, but it used to be a wizard tower. And Thunder Tree has like a dragon, like a green dragon that's nesting there. There's like an orc encampment that's on a hill nearby. There's like lots of places to go to in this part of the game, but they are going to get so overwhelmed. They're so indecisive because they're new players. That's normal. So I'm really trying to trim the fat out of that. I don't want to take away their freedom, so I'm like dropping breadcrumbs here or there if they might be interested in this place or that place, and letting them choose. But like once they show interest in something, then I'm like dumping all of my efforts into that and really tying in all of the hooks to that. Like then now all of the NPCs bring, oh yeah, I've heard about that place too. They all bring it up. So the place that they latched onto was Old Owl Well, because they have a magical item. It's a wand that I rolled on a random magic table that they have yet to identify, because they don't have a wizard or a bard. So they're looking for a wizard, and I told them that there was one out who was wandering around out by Old Owl Well. And so they're probably going to go out that way to see if they can get this wand identified. And that'll be a good way to push the game forward. So they have that in the back of their head, but they've just been the last game they took care of some business in town, got to do some fun town stuff, found that the townsfolk were kind of distrustful of adventurers. A lot of people don't realize it, at least in games excuse me, that I run. But in games that I run, rural towns do not like adventurers, and it's not like a racist or a classist thing or anything like that. It's just that adventurers bring trouble. An adventurer comes and there's combat and there's battle and there's trouble. And then the players leave and they go and do something else and they leave the flames behind them. And then the townspeople have to like pick that up and do something with it. You know, it's almost like adventurers are lazy in their eyes. And they just bring trouble. And it's almost like speaking from personal experience, it's like I don't want to get into a wreck, right? I drive careful because I don't want to get into a wreck. But not for like financial reasons. I mean, I have insurance, but just the hassle of having to like have a police report filed, and you know, it like I'm on my way to work and now I'm going to be late for work and it throws my whole day. Like, it's just a great big hassle and upset to my life. That's what these adventurers are like. They're like, sure, you know, sure, you're going to come through and you're going to kill these things, and maybe our lives are going to be better because you killed the monsters or whatever. But man, I mean, you just blew out half of my crops, and when fall comes around, I need to figure something out for food, and I can't get those months back that I've been growing this stuff. And so they're like, the townspeople are initially very weary of the players. So they're kind of, the players are aware of it. Like, they're starting to feel that. They're like, hey, you know, you got any problems? And they're like, no problems. No problems here, even though they're literally being oppressed by the Gagamba Gang. They just don't want to get tied up in the mess. Like, it's bad, but they don't want it to get worse. Plus, you know, townspeople aren't heroes. They're townspeople. There's maybe one who's not a coward, but most of them just want, you know, to keep living. So the players have expressed that they want to help the town, and they want to they want to be heroes. Like, one of them was like, well, once we save the town, they'll make us heroes, and then they'll tell us whatever we want. And I was just like, I mean, maybe. These are you know, I'm simulating these townsfolk as like people, not signposts to tell you where to go and to give you information. There might be some stodgy old, you know, ungrateful people who are like, okay, well, bad people came and were bad, and you guys came and you stopped them. That doesn't mean I owe you. I mean, you know, what, you want to be my master now? I'm just going to move from one master to another. You come in here and swing your sword around, and now you think that you own me? Or maybe the townspeople have been like burned in the past. Maybe the Gagamba Gang did like oust somebody else, but were like worse. Like, maybe they're afraid that like the players are going to be worse than the Gagamba Gang. At least they have like a repertoire with the Gagamba Gang already. So anyway, these are the Gagamba Gang. There was 8 of them that they ran into, and I'm going to make it so that it's not the leaders of the Gagamba Gang, because the players just took a long rest, and so they just hit level 2, so they are going to go what's called going Nova on these gang guys. They're going to throw every single spell they have. They're just going to go supernova on these guys. They're going full Super Saiyan. They're just going to unload all of their stuff onto these punching bag gang members. But what they don't realize is this gang is big. This is essentially the town control part of the Black Spider's, not really army, but like his forces. He doesn't really have an army. The Black Spider controls the Cragmaw goblins, which are in a castle called Cragmaw Castle. They also have a cave called Cragmaw Cave. Goblinoids are not clever with their naming conventions. But then one of the things that the Black Spider is trying to do is he's trying to keep the people off of his tail. Like, he's looking for this spell forge in the lost mine of Phandelver. He's looking for the spell forge, and so he wants to keep people off his tail so he can just keep looking until he finds it. And so he has the Gagamba Gang positioned in Phandelver to, like... So the goblins are positioned on the roads to keep people from getting close. But if they make it past the goblins, the Gagamba Gang is like, they are controlling the town. And they're supposed to, like, drive away people in the town. Like, adventurers coming to the town. Yeah, I think that looks good with, like, linen. I think that's alright. Yeah, he's power happy. But it's like the Spellforge is no joke. The in the original game, like in the adventure, he's like, the Spellforge is just like a minor attraction. Like, it used to be used back in the day to like make magical weapons at. Now it's just kind of like you can put your weapon or armor in it for a minute, and it temporarily makes it like a +1 armor or weapon for a day, I think. It's just like a minor boost. But since this is going to be like their campaign, like the player's campaign, I wanted it to have a big epic ending. So I made the Black Spider's main goal is he's trying to build a kingdom, a drow kingdom on the surface. And drow are sensitive to sunlight. They can't stand it. It hurts their eyes. They actually have disadvantage on attacks in sunlight and have enhanced dark vision. So he wants to for reasons that are yet unknown, he has left the Underdark and is trying to build his own drow kingdom on the surface. And he's going to do that by destroying the sun so that it is dark on the surface. And the way that he is intending to do this is he is intending to use the Spellforge. He's heard about the Spellforge that can make magical items, and he is trying to make a Wand of Wishes so that he can cast the wish spell and wish that the sun go out. And then he can use that confusion to bring all of his army of drow from whatever city, I haven't figured that part out yet, up to the surface, and they can rule the surface. And so at the beginning of the campaign, I actually started the players at the end of the game in Wave Echo Cave at the Spellforge with the Black Spider, and the party was like decimated. Only one of them, like one or two of them, were still standing. A couple of them were like dead or disintegrated. And then right at the end, like I like set up this monologue bit, which normally you don't want to do in a D&D game, but they were new to D&D, and I kind of wanted to use it as a way to set the story, and it worked out pretty good. But I had like this monologue bit where the Black Spider was telling his plan. You know, he was like, "Finally, my time has come," type thing, nice and dramatic. And then he goes to cast Wish, and one of the NPCs that they are helping along the way, that they'll run into later, is able to wrestle the wand from the Black Spider, and he says, "I wish my friends had another chance." And it kicks them back to the beginning of the adventure. And I'm kind of setting this precedent story-wise that this cycle of casting Wish and rewinding time right at the climactic point has happened 2 or 3 times. Like they're on like the 3rd or 4th cycle right now. And so it lets them know who the bad guy is. And it lets them start in media res. So they're like in the middle of the action and they know what to expect. They just don't know how they're going to get there. I know they're going to get there eventually. But they don't know how they're going to get there. And they don't know all the pieces in the middle. And it also comes with the built-in thing of like they know how bad this is. Like it's already set up the threat. And if they fail, like it could really wreck things. And I've told them, pretty sure I've told them, maybe I should reiterate this, but I've told them, I may have told them, that if they fail and the loop doesn't get set, or like reset this time, they're going to jack up my campaign world. Like the sun is going to go out for the rest of the campaigns that I run in my game world until a group of adventurers is able to go out and set it right and is able to restore the sun. So like this is going to this campaign is going to affect other players and other campaigns that I run, which is kind of cool. Kind of like ups the stakes, makes it feel a bit more weighty. I'm planning on running a Curse of Strahd campaign in the future, and it'd be pretty cool, like, if the sun just went out, and, you know, in the middle of that campaign, and I could, like, tie it into Strahd, or something, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, so that's what's going on with the Gagamba Gang. These guys are just a bunch of ne'er-do-wells that are ruling the town, causing trouble, and driving players away, driving heroes away, so that the Black Spider can keep doing his stuff unencumbered. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, you say, holy cow, that's like normal D&D stuff, man. Like, or at least in the way I run it, is that worlds are persistent. Like, I have a game that my home group played. Those characters are still out there doing stuff. Like, my wife joined this campaign as a player, and she was like, do I need to make a new character? I was like, you can, or you can bring your old character. So she's got like a level 6 character. She's playing her kind of low-key. You know, she doesn't want to overpower and make all of these other first level characters feel useless. But, you know, she's been talking about stuff in her past adventure, and that's all getting tied in, and all like my son's characters are still out there doing stuff, you know, because I think they stopped at level, yeah, it would have been level 6. So I know that Karkos Copperback and Snowfall, his sister, these 2 Dragonborn, are still back on the city of Vane in the Plane of Air, where that adventure took place. You know, they killed the Lich King that was doing nasty Lich King stuff there, and are figuring out, you know, how he got his power and this, that, and the other, and so the adventurers, when the rest of the adventurers, like not my wife's character, because she kind of split away from the group to come into this one, when they get back to the material plane, the sun might be out in their adventure, and maybe they're the ones that have to take up the mantle to this. One reason why my wife's character is really interested in staying with this group, she's actually like looking for a thing to help her father, like in her own story, and was just kind of like palling up against these other players, and like, you know, oh, look at these fledgling players, I'm gonna help them out and make sure they don't die. You know, I don't want to take their experience away from them, but, you know, I'll help them out so they don't die. But now that she's seen this incredibly big danger, she's like, this is bad, and I'm putting my stuff with my father to the side to help this. And that wasn't something that I worked into the story. That was Amanda's character's decision. She's like, this is important to me. You know, my grandparents live on the material plane, and, you know, they're just farmers. And I need to protect them, because the sun going out and the world being ruled by drow is a very, very bad thing. So yeah, fun stuff. And it all depends on what they're going to do. And that's one of the reasons why I love Dungeons & Dragons, is that you can really only have this kind of game in this medium, at least with current technology, where it can respond to the player actions so intricately. I think I cut that away too far. That's okay. No one's gonna notice. I'm gonna beat these guys in an hour-and-a-half combat and never think about them again. Alright. What did I do with these guys? Okay, so pants. And I think I'm gonna do the back of their shirt in this white stuff too. Feel free to steal my ideas. I don't remember where I got the idea for the black spider and the wish. I know it was from something, like starting at the end and then looping back. Most of my ideas aren't very original. They just become original. It's like you take the idea and you run with it, and then it's like, what's that phrase? No plan survives contact with the enemy. No story survives contact with the players. Once it gets into their hands, it's gonna go sideways, and you just kind of have to roll with it. So yeah, it's just how it works. Hold loosely to your plans. They might not, they might end up finding the black spider outside of the cave. I don't know. He might be out doing some stuff and they bump into him. They weren't supposed to kill his lieutenant, the doppelganger, but they rolled really high on their perception check and found him outside of the Cragmaw cave, and they ended up having Resphira with them, you know, a level 6 druid, who cast Thunderstorm or Thundercloud, and was doing like 4d8 damage around on it. Poor thing didn't have a chance. And that doppelganger was supposed to be like a lieutenant that came in at the end that was like, ooh, remember that guy? All those people that you ran into with spider tattoos on their neck? That was actually the one doppelganger. He was playing you all along. Nope, can't do that anymore because they just myrtleized him. But that's okay. I love that kind of stuff. I actually really, really like that. If you hold loosely to your plans, then it's like, as a dungeon master, it's like the story is a surprise for you too. Like there's plot twists for you as the person creating the story. Because you don't really, as a dungeon master, you don't really make the story. You kind of set the scenarios and you play the villains, and then the players tell the story, the heroes tell the story. It's really their story. Like they're the main cast. Like if they become cowards and run away, this is a story of cowardice. If they fight valiantly, it's a story of valor. But that's entirely up to them, not you as a dungeon master. I can guarantee you, I can just about guarantee you that if they get up to the black spider and they fail, and he makes the wand and casts wish, and the sun goes out, they will not want to stop playing the game. They will do that. They will do whatever it takes. They will go to some city and find some sort of lore for another thing to cast Wish or something. I don't want to become famous, and I definitely don't want to buy followers. Who in the world wants to become famous? That sounds terrible. I'm going to block them. Gross. Alright, well I reported them. Hopefully that takes care of that. Does that mean I'm cool now if bots try to get on my channel? No. No. Anyway, I'm excited. But yeah, like if they fail at the end, man, they are so gonna be in it to do another campaign. So it's like a win-win for me. They're either gonna want to keep playing, or they're gonna want to play like another campaign. They've already proven that they hate to lose. I almost feel like losing is a really good motivator for this player group. They didn't kill the goblin boss. They rescued the guy from the cave and left with them. And some of them feel very sore about that they didn't kill the goblin boss and like stop the threat from ever happening again. And I may have inadvertently set a precedent for that because I essentially started the campaign off with them losing against the Black Spider. So many cool opportunities, unique opportunities for storytelling in Dungeons and Dragons. Because it runs on a human brain. It's as limitless as your dungeon master and player's creativity. And I like it when the players get really crazy because that means it stretches me as a dungeon master and I get to exercise being more creative. And it really isn't like even crazy creative stuff that you have to do. Like it's just what would the logical outcome be? You know, if you stood under a boulder as it was falling, you would get squished. Like the logical outcome is you would get squished. So it's like, what would the logical outcome be of if the players don't defeat the Black Spider? And he casts Wish, and now the world is plunged into darkness. Like, what would that affect? That would affect towns. That would make food shortages because crops wouldn't grow. If crops stopped growing, maybe the big, powerful kingdoms would start employing their clerics and their wizards to cast daylight and other light spells on farms. To keep crops up. Maybe there'd be a big boom in mushroom growing for food staples. Maybe dwarves would make a lot of money or gnomes for already knowing how to grow mushrooms underground. So now that they can just grow them in the daylight, or in the daylight, on the surface. But it's going to take him a while to figure that out. It's going to take him a while to actually do it. There's going to be a lot of suffering. Yeah, the world will be really different without the sun. Not to mention being in that state of chaos and disarray, and then having Drow invading and trying to set up a kingdom on the surface. I feel like the kingdoms would have to like lock down and go into self-defense mode until they get their supplies like squared away. Because that's like all world building is. It's just like a thought exercise, you know, and really you don't even have to like think of everything that would happen or that could happen. You only have to think about the things that are important to the story. So you could say, okay, you guys failed. You were able to escape. 6 months later, what have you been doing? You know? The spiraling out. Yeah, get the sun back and now it kills the mushroom business. Of course, it all depends on how long that's been going on. But I don't know. Like if it'd be kind of crazy because it's like if what if like that second quest? What if they fail again? You know, this could be like setting up like the Drow Empire could be getting huge on the surface and might just be like a force to be reckoned with, and it might have to be like a diplomatic overtaking or something to or maybe like some wizards are gonna band together and make essentially a good version of the Luxon over what's that town called? Elturel. Elturel has this thing called the companion, not the Luxon. The Luxon, that's a critical role thing. The companion, and it's like the second star. It's like this sun, this mini sun that hovers over the city, and it's like secretly bad or whatever. Like that's part of the twist in Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. But it's like the second star that hovers over this city, this holy city, and it's like this shining beacon. It's like you might end up having these enclaves of humans, these little pockets of sunlight where they can still, you know, live in the light and grow food and stuff. And like, what would the gods think of that? Oh man, Lathander is going to be ticked. The Morning Lord, and there is no more morning. What's the Dawnfather gonna do when there ain't no sun? He gonna be mad. Which means there's gonna be some beef thrown down between him and Lolth. So it's just like drawing logical conclusions from what you know. I'm sure there's like other stuff that I'm not thinking of. Like, you know, you'd still have the moon. And maybe like the days start to revolve around lunar cycles instead of solar cycles. You know, you can get a lot of work done on a full moon. And like the moonlight becomes the working hours. And the daytime when the moon is like, you know, like when the moon is down is when people sleep. But the thing is like that's never going to happen. Or that's not going to happen until it happens at the table. Once it happens at the table, then that's it. You know, then you can't take it back. But like, you need to be careful not to like when you're world building and writing stuff, that you don't fall in love with your ideas. Ideas are awesome, and they're like what make D&D unique, but you can't fall in love with them, because what happens if the players do win? Then all that stuff is not going to get used. You can recycle it, like for a later game, like, hey guys, I had this great idea about, what about we play in a new world where the sun's gone out? You know, you could still use it there. Or you can write a published adventure or something like that. But like, don't, no matter how cool the idea is, don't fall in love with it, because ultimately you're not in control. The players are the heroes, and they're going to determine where the story goes. If you're a good dungeon master, they're going to determine where the story goes. So it's like, it's a fun thought exercise, and I like to think about that kind of stuff. But really, it's just it's going to continue to live in the what if world until that time comes. And now the other side of the coin is what if they stop the black spider, right? And they have a wand of wishes. What are they gonna, like, what kind of crazy shenanigans, like reality breaking shenanigans, are they going to do with a wand of wishes? That kind of terrifies me. But again, it's like, I might just have to be like, you know what, let's put this game on pause, and I'll have to figure out what happens, because, you know, you guys are doing crazy things, but you know, just have to draw logical conclusions. You know, if they what if they wish to eradicate all drow? Well, I mean, now the Underdark is completely empty, like devoid of drow, and now it's going to be ruled by Dwagar and deep gnomes. They have a cool name, but I can never remember how to. It's like Snurfneblum or something like that. Surfeneblin thing. Like, that could whack out some, like, the Underdark if they just like eradicate a race. Now there's like a drow genocide. Like, that's not cool. There were good drow. They're not all bad. Or like, man, I don't even know what they would wish for. Like, these players are so erratic, and like, they're so new to it. I don't know what they would wish for. But there's only one wish spell in the rod, like in the wand. And I want to say that it'll like crumble upon use or something to that effect. So anyway, I am getting very, very sleepy. It is midnight here in my time zone. I will be back on tomorrow. Tomorrow is Tuesday, so tomorrow is a regularly scheduled streaming day. So I will be back tomorrow, and we're going to finish up. Oh, I was wondering where this guy went. He's still all goopy. I do not know what's going on. I might need to take a toothbrush and some soap to this guy and just wash it all off, because there's definitely something going on right here with his foot. It's like wet from super glue or something. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to scrub him down. Start over. All right, yeah. So tomorrow is a regularly scheduled streaming day, so I'll be finishing these guys up. Definitely finishing these guys. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, and hopefully these 3 here, so that I'll have the 8 for this battle on Thursday. But thank you for hanging out with me. Thanks for chatting, ISO. Excuse me. And thank you again, Geek Squad, for the raid. That was super duper nice of you, and I appreciate that. If you guys like my content, feel free to hang out, and we'll talk more D&D stuff, more story stuff. I paint a lot of minis. I'm currently going through a project right now where I'm painting the entire monster manual. We're gonna have great monsters to paint, like this purple worm. It's only partially done. It uses a lot of paint, and so I had to put it on pause. That's going to be an exciting one. But I've got some great stuff like this. This Remirez is still on my in my gray pile to finish painting. And I'm actually my paladin. I have a half-orc paladin who's going to be swearing an oath in a level or two. And I'm thinking of pulling in a planar. And I have a pretty good model for it. I think it's an MZ4250 model. Nope, not that one. There we go. If I go to my documents, D&D, and why can't I? This is D&D. Where's my models? Wait, no, it's in my manufacturing folder. Photon, monsters. I have a planar. There he is, a planetar. Plantar. Yep. And he's like this bluish greenish angel thing, and he's gonna be I think I'm gonna have him visit my paladin when the paladin swears his oath. I think he's gonna go Oath of Vengeance, and I'd like to have him drop down and like challenge him. Can you make up some stuff about swearing your oath and have him being tested and measured to see if he's wanting or not. Because I actually think that the paladin character, the way he plays him very much like a barbarian. And I kind of wonder that if he doesn't really cotton to the oath swearing and the do-gooding, because right now he just likes to kill stuff. I might like talk to him about pushing him into a barbarian class, because I think he might have more fun with that. But anyway, I think I'm going to get this one supported and printed and add that like high up to the list. And it's a big model. Planetars are large, if not huge. I don't remember. Let's see, I could go... If I pull up Precious Slicer, I can take a look real quick. Precious Slicer. Drop that planetar on there. And let's go like this. Grab him. 90 degrees. I'm being too persnickety for this, but you know what? Whatever. Chop that off. And then let's go that. Yeah, see, like he's not even gonna fit on my printer bed. I set it. I have a way, I've tinkered with it already to get him to fit on there. But if I go back to here, where's Fang? Here's my Fang for scale. What? Oh, it's because it's not downloaded. There he is. There's Fang. So see, yeah, like this Planetar's pretty huge. He's a pretty big dude. And he's going to be like up on one of those flying stands. It's going to look really rad. So I think I'm going to add him to the top of the list. He's technically at the beginning of the book, even though Planetar starts with P. He's an angel, so he would be kind of towards the beginning of the book. So we might do that. Might prioritize him. But anyway, thanks again for watching the stream. Oh, I know what I was talking about with this. The monster manual. I'm going through the monster manual and I'm printing off and painting one of everything in the monster manual. I'm about 200, mid 200s of the way done out of like 500. Monster manual. Can't remember the name of the blasted file. list. I'm terrible with writing these names. Coming up with file names. There we go. How many do I have done? 241. I actually only have 84 types of monsters done out of 664. Right? No. It's complicated. As of right now, I've got 423 left. But there's some weird exceptions to that because I'm making some concessions for like having a band of 8 orcs or something like that. But I got 241 painted out of 666, but this number is probably going to go up. It's probably going to be closer to the 800 range once this is all said and done. So yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff, I'm going to be doing it for a while, and I love talking about this kind of stuff. So have a fantastic evening. Get some sleep if it's your time zone to get some sleep. Thank you again, Geek Squad, for hanging out, and y'all be good.